Hola, amigo. Oh, hello, my friends. Welcome to Fellowship El Camino. Ha! I normally do this in English, so we're not used to really me. I'm not used to doing this in English that much. I'm trying to have some shows in English, but welcome to Fellowship El Camino. I am Armando, and today I have with me my lovely wife, Vicky, and we're going to interview her. I'm going to interview her. I know, I will say I will know most of her life, I think. Well, we find out today. Anyways, I invite you to subscribe in our channel, Fellowship El Camino, and we have a presence in YouTube, Facebook, also on Instagram and Spotify on the podcast platforms and anywhere you listen to podcasts. You pretty much can find us there, and so we invite you to listen to the podcast. Later on, I will put links on Facebook on Fellowship El Camino Facebook, and on my personal one, Armando Optional. I will put a link also. Well, we welcome you today from this beautiful sunny day in the Pacific Northwest. And how are you doing, Vicky, today?
I'm doing pretty good today.
All right. Well, um, we I put a quite a title here today on that we will be talking to you about so many things, right, in your life.
Yes.
And would you introduce yourself? I look down because I have some writing here, and so I want to kind of keep track of what we're talking about. And so don't mind me if I look down and I look here and I look there because I am a one man show and I have to control lights and I have to control. We even have little dogs that they might bark, and that's what happens when you're recording live. So, welcome to a regular day and a podcaster that has little dogs and they will bark, right, Vicky?
Yes, definitely they will bark.
Especially right now when the kids are walking back from school and they would like to go to the door behind us and start barking like crazy. Anyways, so sorry. Would you introduce yourself, like, your name, your social security, your bank account, and if you're married, and if your husband treats you right or bad? Would you let the audience know about that, please?
No, not everything. I keep my social security and my bank information private.
Well, that's very good. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm Vicky. I've been married to this man, a great man for me, for 36 years. And I knew he was the right man for me before we ever went on a date. So I've suffered a lot of health issues through my
Not
life.
yet. We're not going there yet. I will ask you those questions.
All right.
Everybody makes that mistake.
Okay.
You just introducing yourself and, like, what your name and Mary, and can you tell us how many kids you have and stuff like that? Maybe grandkids.
We have 3 sons and 2 daughters and 8 grandchildren, which is awesome. I love taking care of the ones I get to take care of.
So how many do you have?
Like I said, I have 8 grandchildren.
Really? Can you? What are the names? Let's see if you remember, Grandma.
I'll start from age. There's a Javion, there's Carter, there's Colt, there's Layla, Claire,
This is a test.
Alexander, Mateo, and Amina. I think I got them all.
Well, I hope so. If our adult children are watching, they will come back and say, "Hey, you forgot my kid. You forgot my kid."
With that many, it's pretty easy to forget.
Okay. Well, on this introduction here, I put quite a title about you, and I can't find. Okay, I can find it actually. Let's see. Can you tell us about your growing up abroad? And what does that mean, growing up abroad? And why did you grow up abroad?
it means growing up in other countries. And I grew up in, that I'm aware of,
Is Texas another country?
just 2 countries. And I grew up like that because my father was career Army. And so we moved a lot. But since I'm the youngest of 6 sons and daughters, I didn't experience all the other
The
moves.
camera's over there.
Okay. So, yeah, I lived in Germany. I was born in Oklahoma. And then, as far as I know, we moved to, I think, South Carolina. I'm not sure. I know we went to Germany and from there, San Francisco and then Washington.
How many times you guys did the transatlantic voyage? Or maybe you only did it once, maybe.
Me, myself, just once. But I know that
Your older brother.
I know my older brothers and sisters did it more because I have 2 siblings that were born in Germany. No, 3 siblings that were born in Germany, and then 2 in California, and then I was born in Oklahoma.
So literally like the movie of the boat that sank on the Atlantic. What's the name of that movie?
Titanic.
But it wasn't the Titanic quite, huh?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So that's what is growing up abroad. Is it considered also in going from state to state in the United States abroad, or not
No.
necessarily?
No, it's only
What is that called?
crossing an ocean.
Okay.
State to state is just growing up interstate.
So how was your growing up from state to state when you guys were here in the States?
For me, it was fine. I was little. I don't recall a whole lot of it, but
It's okay if you look at me too.
but I mean, I know that when we lived in San Francisco, we were close to the bay. And then when we moved here, this was the last move for my dad in the Army because he retired. And so we just stayed put, and my parents had property and we built a house, and I grew up on the farm.
Oh, you mentioned San Francisco, and since I know you and we're married, I think it will be the ideal time to mention our audience. I put here on your description about your health issues, and that wasn't like a health, like I have a cold or I suffer from high blood pressure or any of that. But in San Francisco, something happened to you.
Yeah.
Can you tell our audience about this incident and how old you were and all that, and what about to happen?
Give me a second to think about how
Yeah, of
old I
course.
was. Let's see. I was about 6 or 7 years old. No, maybe less. Maybe more like 5.
5. Wow.
And I had a couple of friends, and unfortunately, their dad did bad things to little girls.
No, the dog.
And,
I thought you were going to talk about the
and
dog.
so I was traumatized by that for a long time. It took me a long time to get over. While we were there, one of my neighbors was a police officer, and he had his dog King with him. He was a police dog. And
You can say hi.
Oh, hi, Miros. And the day before we were going to move to Tacoma, the dog bit me in the face, and they rushed me to the hospital, and so I could get sewn up. And for a long time, until I was an adult, I was afraid of big dogs. And unfortunately, the dog had to be put down. But I don't think it was his fault. I think I just didn't know that you're not supposed to really focus into a dog's eyes, and so he was threatened and he bit me.
So was it a police dog like they show in the TV shows, or was it a dog that just the owner happened to be a policeman?
It was a police dog. He was a canine dog.
Oh, a canine dog. Okay. So he supposedly has some training, right?
Yes.
So I wonder what happened there.
Back then, they didn't know certain things. I was young, and I I loved the dog, and I would just stare into his face. And when you do that to a dog who's trained to notice certain things, he attacked me.
You were only 4 or 5 years old.
Yes, I was 4.
Huh.
And yeah, I got bit in the face, and I was so sad because the police officer's daughter, she was crying so hard for her dog. I mean,
Oh.
because they would take the dog home with them, and it broke my heart that the dog had to be put down because of what happened to me.
Bummer.
Yeah, very bummer.
Yeah, but were you afraid of dogs from that incident on, or what happened?
Yes, I was afraid of dogs even into my high teenage years. And I didn't become not afraid until we got a big dog and raised it. I mean, I had a middle-sized dog, a Husky Shepherd mix, but that wasn't a big dog. And since we raised it from a puppy, I wasn't afraid of him, but any other dogs, including my neighbor's dog, I was terrified of dogs.
Wow. Before we continue, keep that thought in mind.
Okay.
Miroslava, is our volume on our microphone okay? Are we sound quiet, or our volume is okay? Let us know, please. So, how do you overcame your fear of dogs?
By getting a big dog and
Oh,
raising it as a puppy, a big dog, a
What-
German Shepherd Bull Mastiff mix.
oh,
At his height of healthiness, he weighed about 80 pounds, and he was just a great dog.
no,
So-
not like this little pipsqueak right here, huh?
She's a great dog too, but she still has a lot of training to do.
Yeah. Well, and so that was pretty traumatizing at 4 or 5 years old, right?
Very.
And no, Daisy. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences? When is that you heard about God, or where did you grew up in a home where was it your family people that go to church or not, or how did that happen to you? Like so from the very beginning, like, can you give us an idea if you can remember?
I can.
At least the first connections.
Growing up, my father was an atheist, and my mom didn't support any church going, even though she believed there was a God. But at 9 years old, we were already living in Tacoma, not in Tacoma, somewhere else in Washington. And I just knew that I had to go to church. I didn't really know why. I didn't know
Anybody told you about it?
anything about really church, but I just knew I had to go. I needed to find peace in my life. And so I asked my parents if I could go to church, and they said, well, we're not taking you to any church. If you're going to go to church, your sisters are going to go with you, and the church is going to have to give you a ride. Well, that was difficult because my sisters didn't want to go, but at least they went a few times until my parents felt safe with me going by myself. And I learned about God, but I hadn't accepted him yet.
Don't go too fast yet.
But I just knew that's where I would find peace. So I continued to go the rest of my childhood to the same church.
Until how old about?
I was probably
you start
18 when I stopped to go into that church.
No, you start going about what age? What?
9.
9 to 9 years then. 9 to 18.
Yeah, to that church, and then I just
Changed.
temporarily went to another church.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so you just felt compelled to start going to church, even though your family was not a church people, and your dad didn't believe in God, and your mom probably believed in God, right?
She did.
But it wasn't I was going to say a practitioner.
No,
a practicing Christian.
No, she wasn't. She respected my dad's wishes, so she never went to church or read the Bible or prayed. But I just knew, and I actually bought the first Bible I ever got. I bought it with my own money.
That's good. So your mom grew up Lutheran,
Yes, Lutheran.
and she grew up in Nazi Germany.
I Yeah, she did. She did.
Wow,
Her dad was the mayor of the town,
that's some history there, huh?
and
Sorry, it's about your life
yeah,
and where you come from. Sorry that I threw that
that's okay.
on the pan.
Her dad just did what they needed to do to survive. That's what it
Wow,
came to.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, going back into the things of God. Well, actually, no. Let's go back about your health. I know I started about what happened to you in San Francisco with the health, and I should have been specific.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned something about a neighbor, friend, or guy or something. The nowadays we see more about this, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the news and in the media.
Yeah.
People literally abuse kids, right?
Yes.
I mean, he might not be abusive like slavery and all that, but abuse enough to traumatize.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing. If you can
Yeah.
say, you can say no if you don't want to.
I don't mind sharing.
Okay, go ahead.
So I had some friends, and I would go over to their house and visit. They were twins, and one was, I know it's not a politically correct statement, but she was retarded. And
Slow.
no.
Okay, whatever.
And so my sister and I would go visit with them.
Careful with the words because they might ban us from the
Yeah,
social places.
Yeah. So I didn't even know until I was an adult that the bad things that this man did to me and to his own daughter, he also did to my sister. And my father found out about my sister and threatened that he would kill the man if he ever touched us again. And we moved shortly after that. But I never told anybody, not my parents, not my siblings, nobody, until I was already married to you.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So, you early on in life, when you were not even a teenager, you suffered from some very heavy health issues, correct?
Yes.
Can
Yeah.
you share about? Can you share about that a little bit?
Yes. I was 10 when I got sick, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I finally told my mom that I was having some serious health issues and I didn't know what to do, but I was afraid to tell her. So I went 6 months with this before telling my mom that I was sick. And so I was already 11 when I got to the doctor, and they diagnosed me with ulcerative colitis, which is...
What is that?
It's a disease of inflammation in your colon and farther down, and in parts of your large intestine. And when it's really bad, without being too graphic, you suffer from diarrhea and a lot of bleeding. And I did that for the first time for 4 years before I found remission.
Wow.
I would literally eat bags of candy to give me boosts of energy because nothing stayed in me long enough to give me nutrition. And I was this terrible stick of a person. But
you mean slim?
Severely slim. Some people would say you look like you're, not eating, and I was trying really hard, but
I just didn't know what your health problems were.
So I went to this doctor, and eventually, because it was a military hospital, the doctors would change. They'd get stationed somewhere else. And finally, I had this doctor, and the only thing I can remember about his name is that his first name was Charlie. And I went to see him, and my mom went in with me. And he asked me if he could pray over me.
The doctor?
For healing. The doctor.
In a military hospital?
Yes.
Wow.
So he asked my mom first, and she's like, I don't know. And I said, it's okay.
How old were you when this?
11.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And so he prayed over me. But before he did that, he asked my mom, is it okay if I put my hands on her belly? And my mom's like, I don't know. And I said, it's okay.
Your mom was present.
She was present. He wouldn't have asked if she wasn't there.
All right.
He made it clear. So he prayed over me and he laid his hands on my belly. And at that time, I think it was probably the first time the Lord ever spoke to me. He promised me that I would not die of colon cancer. And to this day, I hold on to that promise. And I still have symptoms, but the symptoms are really minor right now. And I've been going at this for 44 years now, which is not common. There was a doctor that wanted to take out my colon, and
Put
I
the
said,
bag in you.
yes. The first doctors that I saw said I would be dead by 17. And so when I saw this doctor as an adult, he said, the only way you're going to get better is to have your colon removed. And I said, I disagree with you. I've got a promise that I'm holding on to. So the only thing we can do is agree to disagree. And I asked for another doctor. So, yeah. So the other doctor's doing a good job of taking care of me.
So doctor's been putting a sentence on your head since you were little that you're gonna die at an early age.
Yeah.
And you've been alive for since they told you we're gonna die for like 40 some years.
Yeah.
And okay, you touch a particular subject here where you said that God spoke to you. Okay, sorry, but I'm a curious nature person. Okay, so what do you mean God spoke to you? Did you hear like in the movie Moses or other movies where God, okay, everybody move to the left, something like that? How do you say you mean that you heard God, that God spoke to you?
I heard him in my spirit.
Where is your spirit?
It's part of your being. It's not a physical part. It's just a part of your being. And I heard him.
Was it around here, your ears? Was it around here? Was it around where?
To be honest, I don't recall. But I know that I heard him.
Okay.
And I didn't doubt who it was, which is funny because after my parents heard the diagnosis and how bad it could be getting this illness at such a young age, my dad wanted to take me to the Philippines and have the magic people pull the sickness.
Witch doctors?
Have them pull the sickness right out of me. And he was already planning to buy tickets for the plane. And I said, no, I'm not going. I'm not going to do that. That's not right. And
your dad was a very determined person, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. But it was one thing that he respected of what I said, that no, I don't want it.
Wow.
So,
audience, if you have any questions or any comments, we welcome your comments and questions. And I'm going to take a little break to read a word from our sponsors. And then we will continue with this interview with Mrs. T, Mrs. V, I'm sorry, V. And my sponsors are God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And today's word is a word from, I'm going to mention it today. Normally I don't. Jeremiah 9. And it's from the 21st century King James Version, which should be one of the newest versions. And it's chapter 9, and it says like this. Oh, that my head were waters and mine eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people. Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place for wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go from them. For they are all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men. And they bend their tongues like their bow for lies. But they are not valiant for the truth upon the earth. For they proceed from evil to evil. Proceed from evil to evil. And they know not me, said the Lord. Take ye heed, every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother. For every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanderers, and they will deceive everyone his neighbor, and will not speak the truth. They have taught their tongue to speak lies, and weary themselves to commit iniquity. Thine habitation is in the midst of deceit. Through deceit they refuse to know me, said the Lord. Therefore, thus said the Lord of hosts. I was hoping that this version will not say the dust and the, all those old version sayings, but oh well, I'm already reading these. That says the Lord. Therefore, thus says the Lord of hosts, behold, I will melt them, and try them. For how else shall I do for the daughter of my people? Their tongue is as an arrow shout out. It speaketh deceit. One speaketh peaceably to his neighbor with his mouth, but in heart he lieth in wait. Sorry. Shall I not visit them for these things, says the Lord? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as these? For the mountains will I take up a weeping and wailing, and for the habitation of the wilderness lamentation, because they are burned up, so that none can pass through them. Neither can men hear the voice of the cattle. Both the fowl of the heavens and the beast have fled. They are gone. And I will make Jerusalem heaps and den of dragons, and I will make the cities of Judah desolate, without an inhabitant. Who is the wise man that may understand this? And who is he to whom the mouth of the Lord hath spoken, that he may declare it? For why has the land perished and burned up like a wilderness, that none passeth through? And the Lord said, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, neither walked therein, but have walked after the imagination of their own heart, and after the Baalim, which their fathers taught them. Therefore, that says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even these people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. I will scatter them among the heathen, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, and I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them. Thus says the Lord of hosts, consider ye and call for the mourning women, that they may come, and send for skillful women, that they may come. That's a very long. Whoa, I'm not going to continue, but I read 17 verses and I can't even keep doing it. But that was Jeremiah 9. Alrighty then. We lost somebody watching because my terrible reading. That's okay. It's my second language. I do my best, especially in old English. Anywho, so where were we? Your father wanted you to send you to the Philippines to get better, and then you were dealing with this. What is it called?
Ulcerative colitis.
Ulcerative colitis, and so by the time you were, when is the God find you? You start going to church early on in life.
Yeah.
And for 9 years until you were 18. And at what age is that you had an encounter with God? The God present Himself to you, even though He already spoken to you when you were young. Can you tell us about it, please?
I can. Sometime after 9 years old, I accepted the Lord into my life.
Okay.
But I didn't know how to serve Him.
Oh.
So I was 15, and I was just getting into high school, and I wanted to take driver's ed, but I had to have a surgery on my foot, which prevented me from doing that. And I was really afraid of going into surgery. I'm not sure why, but I was. And So I went to a Bible meeting, the same meeting where I met you.
Oh,
And
here in Bonnie Lake.
Here in Bonnie Lake. And one of the leaders offered to pray over me almost at the end of the prayer meeting and Bible reading. And I said, yes, please. And he asked why. And I told him that I'm afraid I'm going to go in this surgery and it scares me. And he prayed over me and I fell down under the power of the Lord.
What does that mean?
That means I fell down under the power of the Lord.
Like
the power was so strong.
You weren't sitting down, you were standing
I was
up?
standing and I fell down under the power of the Lord.
Like forward, backwards, sideways? What do you mean? Can you explain for people that, there's people that don't know these things? Which way?
I kind of crumpled off to the right. I like my knees kind of gave out underneath me and then the top of my body went a different direction. Almost like passing out, but it's not, because it's the power of the Lord that's causing you to do this. And I could hear everything going on.
Has this ever happened to you before at that time?
No, that was the first time. And
so how do you know it was the power of the Lord?
Because I witnessed it with other people at the prayer meeting.
Oh.
And
you wonder what was that before?
And I had no. I mean, I grew up in church, so I was familiar with it. And I know I definitely recommitted my life to the Lord, and in doing so, I got baptized in the Holy Spirit through speaking of tongues. Now, I believe I was baptized in the Spirit a different way when I was younger through going to church camp, but this was the first time I spoke in tongues, and I was down for probably a little over an hour, and everybody was just continuing praying over other people, and I could hear them, but I had no way to get up because the Lord wasn't done working through me yet.
What does that mean, speaking in tongues?
It's a spiritual language that the Lord gives you. That
Chinese or Japanese?
No.
Or what? Oh.
Well, for some people, yes, when they speak in tongues, they can speak a foreign language without even knowing it.
Okay.
At this time, that didn't happen to me.
Okay.
But I was speaking a spiritual language. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And there's no sponsor in us. Perrier, pineapple flavor. Get your own at grocery outlet.
And so I was there for a long time, and I ended up not being afraid to go into surgery after that, because I knew that whatever happened, the Lord was totally with me, even if he didn't tell me.
Okay.
So that's what happened.
That's how you accepted the Lord, or you had an encounter with him?
Yes, that's how I had an encounter with him.
Your first big encounter, you could say?
Mm-hmm. No, my second, because my first was when the Lord told me that I wouldn't die from colon cancer.
Okay.
But the first time that all of this stuff that I just said happened to me, this was the first time. And throughout my adult life, it has happened several other times, but.
Okay. And after this falling down and this speaking in foreign language or tongues, other languages, what happened? Did your life got different? Did what? Did you see angels? Did you what happened? Can you tell us?
I did.
How did your life change, or did not change?
I felt peace in my life, including the trauma that I'd gone through as a child. I still remembered it, and it did still affect me, but it wasn't a forethought continuously. It was something that I was able to not have to dwell on all the time. I just was able to have peace in my heart for my life. And I don't know. I mean, I know that it's said that being a good person isn't good enough for going to heaven. I knew I was a good person, but I knew that finding and accepting the Lord and allowing him to do this through me made me worthy of his love.
And so you've been a Christian all these years since that point on, or have you have ups and downs, or have you walk away from the Lord and then come back? Can you tell us a little bit more about from that point on until now? If you have had everything has been peachy, good, fun, or you had up and downs, or you have literally walk away from God and come back, or what? How does that work? Or how has your life been like that?
I don't think that everybody has it peachy all the time. Everybody is going to go through trials, and I did. There was a time where I walked away from the Lord for 10 years, and it was a difficult time in my life. I didn't deny that the Lord was there. I just stopped serving him.
What does that mean, serving him?
Following his will in my life, reading the Bible, worshiping him, praying. I just stopped it all for 10 years. And I was at a point where I was like, God, I want you back. And he didn't say it, but I felt it. He was saying, I've been here all along. You're the one that left. You have to be willing to come back, and you have to be willing to let go of all the garbage that you've put in your life. So
it wasn't just about stopping reading the Bible and going to church and all that.
No, it was about doing things that the Lord doesn't like.
Like what? Chewing gum?
No, but I don't think I want to talk about
Okay. Sin. Let's use one word.
Yeah.
Oh, so you went backwards.
I did.
What do they call it in the Christian world?
Backsliding.
Oh, backsliding. You slide on your back.
Slide away from the Lord.
On your back? Not necessarily.
Backwards.
Like in a water park, right? And slide.
Something like that.
Not quite. Huh. So it has happened to you, huh?
Yes.
And then you came back to the Lord. The Lord called you back. How did that happen? Or how that works? Because, I mean, some people might want to know.
It started with the kids. They wanted to go back to church, and you wouldn't take them. And so I would take them.
So I was sliding too in the water park?
You and I were both pretty much out of the Lord's will.
Oh.
So I would take them, but I wouldn't go in the church.
But it's your interview, okay? No mine.
I would just sit in the car while church was going on, or I would go for a walk in the park. And then when church was out, I'd gather up the kids and we'd go home. And that happened for, I don't know, probably about 6 months or so. And eventually I would go in during the singing and then leave during the reading of the Bible or the preaching. And eventually it got to the point where I hungered for the Lord, and I didn't know how to get back to the Lord with all the garbage I allowed in my life, even though earlier on I knew that God forgives us. He takes all the garbage that we have and he throws it away, and he doesn't remember it, and he chooses not to remember it. And in forgiving us, the hard part is that we learn to forgive ourselves. And it was a struggle to do that, but I eventually found the strength to forgive myself, and I'd known that the Lord already forgave me. And so I started going back to church, and it was helpful. It took me a while to get, I guess I could say, back on my feet, where I really wanted to serve God and not just feel good inside of myself because I was going back to church. So that's what happened. Sorry, I have a dry mouth.
Well, that's fine. That's what you have a drink for. So it's possible that somebody who is a Christian or in Christ or going to church that really thinks is following God or Jesus or serving God can walk away from God.
Absolutely.
And why is that? Any idea?
I could make excuses and say I was having trouble in my life, in my marriage, with my kids, but the fact is that I was too selfish to stay on the right path.
So was it you?
Yeah, I'm the one that walked away. Not the Lord never left me,
Okay.
but I left him.
Hmm.
And in leaving him, I said, well, if I'm not going to serve God the way that he would like me to, that would honor him, I'm just going to do everything bad that I can. And so that's what I did. And I'm not going to go into any more detail
that's
about
fine. And did God made any efforts to bring you back, and you refused to come back while you were on that path of rebellion?
No, he didn't.
Really?
He actually waited until I cried out and needed help getting back.
Cried out. That sounds like a Bible word.
It
Can
is.
you use them more nowadays for people that don't know those terms?
Give me a second to think about it.
Can you not talk churchy and more like?
I'm not sure if I can.
Well, try.
So
think about it. There's a teenager here from high school that don't know any of this stuff. What word will you use?
I was pleading with God to help me. I was pleading with him. I was literally crying, physically crying, and asking God to help me find my way back to him.
Huh. That's what crying out is, huh?
Yeah.
Like a baby. Wah, wah, wah. No, I mean, that's crying out, right?
Yeah.
But, okay. All right, then. So, that's how your walk with God has been. Okay. So, you come back to God, and then everything is peachy again?
No, it was not.
Why not? What is it? What happened?
Well, you thought I was playing a game, and I wasn't. And so you were treating me horribly. But God is faithful to us, and he caused me to not notice that you were treating me horribly. I never noticed. He protected my heart and my mind. So
it's okay. We love you.
So I just kept being faithful to him. And even though there have been times where I've walked away, it'd be like little times where it'd take me, maybe a month or two to come back and say, Lord, I'm sorry I screwed up. And he would just be there waiting. Thank you, Dee.
I don't know if she heard you. Didi. Thank you, Didi. I put your comment on the screen, Didi. Thank you. We love you too. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And we love you too. Hi, Bobby. Hola, Bobby. Saludos a tu esposa, dice. Igualmente, Bobby. Oh, still watching. Thank you, Didi. Well, I actually wasn't asking you about your spiritual problem. I was actually going to ask about health. You come back to the Lord, or the Lord helps you come back to Him, and everything is peachy. And I'm thinking about 2010. I'm giving you a hint.
Yeah, the hints will help. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the first thing my mind goes to.
Well, which is good because it might help some people.
Yeah.
But so not everything was peachy then.
No. No, in 2010. No, I'm going to back up 10 years.
Okay.
10 years prior. So in 2000 is when my dreams started. And, well, these particular dreams. And in these dreams for 10 years, the same thing happened. The enemy, Satan, he would tell me, I got my eyes on you. I've got you. You can't get away. And in my dreams, I would have like brain cancer or tumor or something like that. But at the end of every single dream that I had like that, the Lord would be holding his hands out and he would be saying, don't worry. I got you. I got you. And so even though I had these horrible dreams, I didn't find them horrible. It was almost like I was seeing what was going to happen to me
For how many months, or
for
was it
10
years?
years.
Oh, for 10 years. Oh, wow.
And
That's crazy.
yeah. And then in 2010, I went to see my doctor, and I already knew what it was. And it was the last day of my medical insurance at the time. I went to see my doctor, and I had breast cancer. And they go in categories or stages, both actually different categories, different stages. And so she got me in so that I could have a mammogram, and it was stage 3B cancer. It was a very rare and aggressive cancer called inflammatory breast cancer.
At the time.
It's still, yeah.
Okay.
And so I had it, and I wasn't afraid at all. And when someone would find out that I had it, I would just tell them, it's okay. I would say exactly, it's okay. Because either way, I win. I do. I remember that, Dee Dee. I don't remember how old I was, but I was already speaking in tongues, and I prayed them away, and the Lord kept me safe. And we were on a second story bedroom, and they were up there, and the Lord kept us safe. So yeah, they did. Thank you. So I couldn't get a biopsy because I had no insurance, and I couldn't get insurance because I had no money. So somehow or another, between my doctor and the welfare office, they worked it out so that I could get a biopsy done 2 weeks after. And by then the tumor had grown very large, from let's say 1 clove of garlic to about the size of a whole head of garlic in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember taking you to Tacoma to the clinic in Orchard or Peach or whatever.
Carroll Mill Guard Center.
Yeah, there.
And
there.
So the doctor doing the biopsy, he couldn't get the 3rd biopsy because the tumor was too hard, and I was screaming in pain. And I actually scared the doctor out. He left, and he told the nurse, you need to close her up. I'm not dealing with this.
My goodness.
So
who would not scream from
yeah.
that?
So in May, I went finally to meet my group of doctors, and I had 6 doctors and a counselor, and I met them all at the same time, and I ended up being the case study. And I believe through that there have been a lot of progressions of more people living, but it's still pretty rare. So I ended up having to have a bilateral mastectomy, and I'm okay with that. I would, and like I was saying,
some people don't know what that means.
So like I was saying before, I would say, it's okay because either way I win. And people would get offended, and they would say, what do you mean? And I said, well, if I die, I win. I go to see Jesus. And if I live, I win. And they would say, you can't say that. You have kids. And I would say, my kids know where I stand. They know my faith. And I wasn't afraid. And the Lord chose to leave me here. And I'm happy, overjoyed either way.
But it was anybody who has gone through cancer. It's a tiresome, long. I'm trying to find the right words. Ordeal. I have more words that I wish I could add to it, but it's just. I mean, including our sister, my Vicky's sister, Julia, that she has posted some comments here. Oh, I lost my mouse. There. Anybody who has gone through cancer and have survived by the grace of God, but there are no fun times.
No,
they're difficult times, right?
Yeah, I actually lost 4 months of my life that I don't recall.
Yeah, because the chemo.
The chemo,
Yeah.
not just the chemo. There were different chemos for different cancers and for different types of cancers.
Can I say something? I did say, I say, wow, this chemo has given me a different woman. I mean, it looks the same, but it's a different character.
Very submissive.
You're not, it's not that you're not. So you just a strong, what
No,
do you
I
say
mean
that? Strong character.
while going through chemo.
No, yeah, it's like, I'm like, wow, what happened to Vicky?
Yeah.
This lady here that looks like Vicky is just yes, no, with a smile. And I'm like, I mean, she smiled too before, and yes, no, but it is just different.
Yeah. My oncologist told me I was the second worst
Oh.
puker in 25 years. I was always in the hospital. I was always sick. It was a pretty bad experience, but because I don't remember it hasn't affected me except the fact that I live.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So after with the help of the Lord coming back to the Lord, around the year 2000, life it wasn't all peachy because you came back to God, right?
Yeah.
Or God brought you back, whichever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff happens, right?
It does.
And then, is there more stuff that happened?
I'm sure, but you're going to have to be a little more specific.
It seems like it's being one after the other, no? I mean,
Yeah.
like the colitis, the cancer, and
Migraines.
one time when you had this gallbladder thing,
Yeah.
and you didn't know, and can you tell us about it? And then coming out of anesthesia, what happened?
Oh my goodness. So I had gallstones, and at first I didn't know, and I went to see the doctor, and they told me that I had gallstones. I needed to have my gallbladder taken out. Well, I fought that for 2 years, and I finally said, okay, take it out. I guess I don't need it that bad. So they took it out. I didn't know gallbladders can burst like appendix, and it was just about there.
Dangerous too. It can kill you.
Instead of being green, it was white. And so they took my gallbladder out. And when I came out of anesthesia, I couldn't speak English. All I could speak was Spanish. I understood everything that was being said to me in English, but the words wouldn't come out. And to this day, with every time I have to go under anesthesia, whether it's for colonoscopy or for surgery or for whatever, I've only spoken English twice in recovery since then. It's always been Spanish, and I always have to warn the doctors and nurses. And they don't think it's true. They think I'm joking.
Until they witness it, right?
Yes.
And then right about after your dad died,
yeah,
I was working in Canada someplace, and I came home, and you weren't yourself, and I had to take you to Harborview.
Yeah, that was 2004.
Was it?
It was. I didn't know what was wrong with me.
They didn't know.
But for 5 months, I was suffering from such bad pain in my head, in my neck, in my shoulders, in my face, everywhere. My body hurt for 5 months. And I pretty much just hid in the bedroom in the dark unless I had to like go to work or whatever. So without even realizing it, I had called my friend Vicky on her cell phone, and I didn't know I knew her phone number, but I did. And I called her, and I didn't say anything.
Because we still had a landline.
And so I was just standing there completely zoned out, holding a phone, and I could hear her praying. I don't know how long, but it was quite a while. And then the kids came home, and then you came home, and you talked to her.
I found you standing up next to the bed, holding the phone, standing up, blank stare.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's there? Oh, Ricky. What happened? Oh, she called me, and then nothing. I've just been here for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And I talked to Vicky, and she will not respond. So I say bye, hang up the phone, and
You took me to
tried to
Harborview.
talk to you. Nothing happened. I said, okay, let's take her to the hospital. And
Yeah.
they poke you how many times? And what is it called? That thing they do?
The resident neurologist was supposed to do a spinal tap to see if I had meningitis or encephalitis,
Or something itis.
and he did not have practice, and he poked me 9 times. It was so painful. I came out of my stupor.
Yes.
I came out of losing my mind. That's how it felt to me. And then one of the nurses reported him to the head of neurology, and he came down, and whatever he said to the guy left, and then he did the spinal tap it was my 10th time, and he did what he needed to do, and they found out it wasn't encephalitis or meningitis. So they put me on the epilepsy ward to monitor me 24/7 to figure out what it was. And in the end, it was a diagnosis of,
They didn't know.
I guess, omission. They tried to find out if it was anything, and they couldn't identify it to anything, so they called it migraines.
They just labeled it migraines.
And unfortunately, to this day, I suffer from migraines.
Well, at least that's what they have labeled them.
Yes.
And so you have dealt with a plethora of health issues, huh?
Yes.
And that's why I put the title something like, I can't even remember what I put. Fighter and Conqueror and something else. Because my wife here, Vicky, she has gone through all kinds of things. And like a lot of people, I'm not saying she's the only one, a lot of people. I mean, this is for anybody who could attest to going through a lot of things, in family, friends, neighbors that have stand, and have believed that God will help them, bring them through it. And but right now it happens to be Vicky's turn about what the Lord has done in her life.
Yeah, I had.
Yes, go ahead.
I had suffered from fibromyalgia.
Yeah,
and
that was interesting.
When I would be at work,
or at the store.
If anybody had seen a particular movie that Martin Sheen is in, Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, Charlie.
The Arrival. They had aliens that looked like people, and they were walking with their legs backwards, like the kneecap would go backwards instead of forwards. And that's pretty much how I was walking when I would be affected. And so I was at the church, and there was a speaker there, and we prayed for each other. Actually, I was one of the last people to get prayer, and the Lord took away almost all of my symptoms. The only symptom I have that I'm aware of is that my skin is hypersensitive. If I'm not aware that someone's going to touch me and they touch me, it hurts. But other than that, all the other problems with my legs and my muscles and everything else is all gone, and it's been gone since then.
Yeah.
So
well, I wish you would have amplified more on how the Lord heal you, but it's okay, I guess. When Zoe, yeah, pray for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, God healed her right there. She was walking really bad for months, and then we went to the church, literally the one that we attended, and they had this lady as a guest speaker, and you could read that message in the meantime. And then when Vicky went to the front to get prayed for, and the lady prayed for something that Vicky asked to be prayed for, and then the lady actually asked Vicky to pray for her, and both of them pray for each other. Vicky stood up and walked normal, and the whole church has seen her walking like she mentioned, like this alien.
Yeah.
And then when Vicky stood up and walked back to her seat, everybody's like, I happened to go to the bathroom and come back, and I wasn't in the moment when it happened, but all I heard is the whole, I don't know how many dozens of people were in the church. They went, whoa! I'm like, oh, I missed it.
The funny thing is that
I missed it.
Zoe asked me, "What would you like prayer for?"
Uh-huh.
And I didn't want prayer for me. I said, well, I would like prayer for my mom and dad. They're alcoholics and they need healing and delivering. And so we both sat down because she'd been standing up for quite a while. And um, she said, we'll pray for that. But because you asked for that, I'm going to pray for you. And you can pray for me. And so first she prayed for my mom and dad. And then she prayed for me while I was at the same time praying for her body pains. And that's
And God heal you right there of that
yeah.
fibromyalgia
Yeah, everything, all the symptoms that I had, which I guess you could say were mostly muscle soreness. Any cold area, I would get so stiff I could hardly walk.
Just walking through the
freezer section of the store.
even if the doors were closed of the
Yeah. And
yeah.
But yeah, the only thing that I still am affected by is sensitivity to my my
touch.
skin. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We already been here for an hour. I'm gonna read another word from our sponsors. I'm gonna try to make it short this time. And my sponsor is God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, because I don't have any sponsors, which is okay. And this is from Isaiah, Old Testament 53. And it goes like this. I'm going to try to do my best to read it better. Who has believed our report? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or comeliness. And when we see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. By the way, this verse in the Old Testament is talking about Jesus. And notice how it's talking about Jesus, and it says this: there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid and as it were our face from him. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Wow. We were talking about sicknesses and stuff, and right here it says that surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. And yet we esteem him stricken, smitten by God, like God punished him basically, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. You see, he suffered what he suffered because our sin, our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. Iniquities is I have heard some preachers explain this, that is deeper and greater than sin. Like it's the really root of the nitty gritty, the stuff. So he was bruised for our iniquities, for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. I wish I would find a better version. They will talk more nowadays language, but that's okay. And by his stripes, by his wounds, basically, other version says, we are healed. Wow. And we, like sheep, have gone astray. So this is Isaiah 53. If whoever is listening to this, if you guys get a chance to read at least the first 10 verses of Isaiah 53, just know they're talking about Jesus. Find yourself a nowadays version, even if you look at it online, and you will see what Jesus did for us, how much punishment he took for us. Well, Vicky, we have talked about all these things, and let me ask you. I always ask anybody that I interview this question: what is the Lord speaking to you in these days, and what is He burning in your heart to speak to, not only to the people in general, but to the believer, the ones who call themselves Christians or followers of Christ, or however title they choose to, apostles, or whatever, or regular people that they don't even want nothing to do with God. Is there something that God has been speaking to you that He has impressed in your heart lately that you can share with us?
Well, for starters, I would say that for people who don't know him and don't want to know him, that the best thing about knowing him isn't that we get healed or that we feel good, but that we will not spend our eternity in hell suffering worse than we suffer here on earth. We will have peace and we will be able to be with God forever. And it's not fable, it's not fiction, it's real. And it's worth believing in completely. And for the people who do believe, who do say they're Christians, I would say the Lord gives us all a work to do, all of us. If we don't know what it is, we should ask Him and keep asking Him. Spend time in prayer, in the Word, spend time privately with the Lord so that He can see that your heart is truly toward Him. I suffered for years not really understanding the Bible, even though I would read it. And I'd get to a point where I'd just stop because I didn't get it. And something happened to me this year, and I can't get enough of it. I spend hours reading the Bible every morning, and I understand what I'm reading. And God is doing a move in my heart, and He can do a move in your heart. You don't necessarily have to do what I do, but you do have to seek out the Lord if you don't know what you're supposed to do. And if you do know what you're supposed to do and you're not doing it, you should ask the Lord to fill your heart more with what He wants than what we have here in our temporary life here on earth. The things that satisfy us. Lately, it's all about electronics. Um, but they're a tool, and we can even use them to do what the Lord wants. I know that I don't necessarily feel comfortable speaking in groups, but I do very well one on one. And if I'm in the grocery store, I just bring it up and I tell people, I don't really care what you believe or not, but I want to tell you this. I mean, there was a time I was at an office and a man was helping me, and I said, well, I know that the Lord is in this work. He's the one helping me. And he said, I don't believe that. And I said, okay, well, I will pray for you. And his comment astonished me. He said, thank you. And that was just doing what the Lord wanted me to do. Bring up His name and let it go from there. Let the work begin. That's what I would say. You just have to take that one word or that one step and let Him do the rest.
All right. Well, and as Vicky was talking about the Bible, and sometimes we don't want to read, or it's not understandable nowadays with the electronics, the technology, your cell phone, your tablet, your laptop, whatever. You could there's a version online. It's called U version, and it's in like 135 languages, I believe. There's just so many languages, but in English they have like, man, plenty of versions. And one that I like to read is the, I think it's called Nowadays version or something similar to that, which means they're not going to use these all King James word type of speaking or writing. They speak like we speak nowadays, like, hey, how you doing? Hey, hello, you. No, how art thou, our Lord, my, I don't know. Something difficult. They're like, what is this person saying? So if you have a hard time understanding the Bible, check these versions of the Bible online, and they also, you can buy yourself a more actual nowadays version online, like on Amazon. I'm not trying to promote them. I'm just saying you can buy a more nowadays, something of the type of English we speak nowadays, or Spanish if you speak Spanish, or any language that you speak. They have the nowadays versions, and so you can feel more comfortable and like, oh, this is what they were saying. I never understood this part. I mean, we had a pastor for years, right?
Yeah.
And until they come up with a certain version, he says, I never understood that passage of the Bible, and being a pastor, until this version came out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it happens.
Yeah.
So if a pastor said that, why not us? We're not even pastors.
Yeah.
Anywho, well, we thank you for watching this episode, the interview with Mrs. V and my wife. And thank you. And I know, that might don't seem too professional because I'm letting the dogs in and out. I finally left the door open. But, this is live. We're at home. And yeah, you could see a circle in the back. That's my makeup light. Let's see if I can go around it. See, that's my, they sell it online, but it puts pretty good light out. And so we just want to share a little bit of our experiences, a little bit of what we have gone through, testimony. That's how they know it in churches. And yeah, you're welcome, Didi. And so, if you can share this in your wall, is that what it's called? And your social medias, share it. Somebody might benefit a little bit. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Whatever. And thank you for watching. Tomorrow I'm gonna have another episode, but it's gonna be in Spanish. And I don't have a guest. Guest. I don't have a guest for tomorrow. The one that I was trying to invite, he never came back to me. So whatever. Anyways, but I will just be reading word in Spanish, the Bible. And but next week we're gonna be here again in English. Not necessarily Vicky and me. I might have somebody else that I'm gonna be interviewing. And if nobody is available, I guess I'm just gonna be reading Bible. But see you next week around 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Tomorrow also around 3 p.m. in Spanish. May God bless you. Subscribe to our channel, Fellowship El Camino, in YouTube. Fellowship El Camino, like the car El Camino. And we are on Facebook and Instagram and Spotify and all the platforms for podcasts like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, anywhere that you listen to your podcast. We are there. So, yes, we will. And so see you next time. Thank you for being with us today. May God bless you. Bye-bye. We hope you were blessed by this